known for its whoops and the Whoop Monster. We're in Millville for the AMA Toyota Motocross Championship presented by FMF. And it is the Honda SpringCreek National here in Millville, Minnesota as we move to the fourth quarter of the Motocross Championship for 2006. Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Brian Drever. There's the Whoop Monster. David Pingree sitting alongside and Aaron Bates down at trackside for us here today. Enjoying what could be a mixed bag of weather and always fun though here at Millville. Fans are pouring in.
They got some motocross fans here in this area. The Millville crew is always loud and enthusiastic, as are the kids.
Swimming in the creek and enjoying themselves. John Martin and his family doing a great job to promote a family atmosphere as Unbound Energy is our presenting sponsor this weekend too. Take a look here. This is what the track looked like at the beginning of the weekend as James Stewart is once again on hand here and looking for another win. Just behind him, Kevin Windham. Also a championship contender of sorts because this man, Ricky Carmichael, has pretty much put it out of reach once again here in 2006.
Yeah, Ricky's just when you think he's going to slip a little or someone's going to challenge him, he comes back and just makes a cakewalk out of it. This is from Washougal. Got a little aggressive with James there, and wasn't long before James paid him back right there. Almost blew him into the fans.
Great battle between those two as Ricky Carmichael ended up battling with James Stewart for the win, the overall. And here at Millville, it could be the same story or, well, it could be distinctly different. We never know. The season has been kind of up and down, if you want to call it that. Big get-off as RC gave away the overall with that crash right there. And it was certainly worth looking at more than a few times.
He lands on his feet like a cat somehow. He always does that.
Look at the points lead that he has, though. 76 points over second place Chad Reed right now, and Davey Millsap's in third position. Let's go now to Aaron Bates with a pre-race report. The Whoop Monster's on hand.
As the countdown to Ricky Carmichael's retirement has already begun with a 76-point lead, it is his championship to lose. He's already started the countdown with 8 motos left, with 8 crew members to thank. As you noticed in the past, guys have jacked around by putting some stuff on the back of their pants to mess with each other's head. But this time, it's a tribute and a little bit of a salute to his crew members for all their hard work and everything that they've done to help him, as he says his farewell.
Well, you know, after so many wins and championships, I think you just run out of stuff to put on the back of your pants. So pretty soon it'll just be verbs and adjectives and
nonsense.
Yeah.
Crossword puzzle clues. Practice. James Stewart fast as always here on the number 7 Kawasaki. And David Villeman, the Frenchman transplanted to California. Ricky Carmichael not having the best practice to end up the sessions prior to the race.
Well, these are the whoops right here that sort of make or break how you do at Millville. If you're quick in those whoops, you generally do well at Millville, and if you can't find a way through them, you struggle.
Robbie Reynard on the number 17 machine. Here are our times from practice. James Stewart, Ricky Carmichael, Chad Reed, the usual suspects at the top of the chart. Timmy Ferry and Travis Preston rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, James was 2 seconds a lap faster than Ricky in practice, and I know Ricky was really upset about that. The crew was kind of bothered. Everybody was just not happy with it. So again, here the most important thing on the Millville track has got to be the whoops. A lot of time to be made up or lost going down those 2 sets of sand whoops, and the rest of the track very rutted, gets rough, gets choppy, a lot of sandy, loamy dirt, great soil, a lot of uphills, downhills, so everything you expect out of a great motocross track. The
Whoop Monster and the Monster Whoops of Millville lie in store as we take a look at the starting lineup there. There's Kyle Lewis on the number 23 machine. Our Honda starting lineup will show you where they're all going to start. And Ricky Carmichael, the defending winner here, of course, expects his principal rival to be James Stewart at this racetrack. So we'll have to see if another battle ensues like the one at Washougal.
Well, we've had some rookies sort of coming in out of Loretta Lynn's doing this round, and there's a couple of amateurs making their way into the 450 class. Brock Tickle being one of them, probably the most touted amateur racer here today in the 450 class.
Boy, Carmichael and Chad Reed side by side. Reed getting the better of it, but around the outside, our whole shot winner looks like it's going to be Justin Buckaloo. And holding our breath, it appears as though everybody's gotten through. James Stewart quickly to the lead around Buckaloo, and Millsaps moves up into second position.
RC was buried a little bit coming around that first turn. I still don't see him. Oh, there he is.
About 7th or 8th perhaps. Chad Reed trying to take a spot away from Millsaps there, and that would be second position. James Stewart already getting gone.
I don't know about anybody else, but when I see Ricky get a bad start, I get a little excited. I know it's going to be at least interesting for a little while.
Well, if Carmichael has to come through the field, yes, position changes and passing. We will see a lot of that. Running in 7th. He was 8th off the start. He's already made up one spot. As James Stewart is out in front, and here comes Carmichael railing around the outside. Did he just pass 2 and now 3 riders in one turn? I believe he did.
Yeah, he did. That's ridiculous.
Wow. Ricky Carmichael continues to be the man. And talking about championships and how consistency wins championships, he has been a model of that all season long. He has been there week in and week out, while some of his rivals have had an up and down year. Millsaps and Chad Reed side by side going up one of the smaller hills. In the air, they look over at each other, and Reed takes the spot. Millsaps with the inside line is going to try to get it back, doesn't have enough room to do it.
Millsaps is having a great season. This is, it's got to be, I would say for him, at least what he expected, if not more, to be third in points or right in there, and consistently on the podium or threatening to be on the podium in the motocross class in motocross racing.
Millsaps may have expected, more like hoped, I think, to do this well, because with the depth of competition, it's pretty hard to get into the top 3. What with Ricky Carmichael, James Stewart, Chad Reed, and riders like that at the top of the heap, that represents a glass ceiling that's pretty thick.
Look at Reed. He's staying all over James. You see him trying to grab onto his back wheel and put some pressure on him. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, James Stewart leading, Chad Reed in second position. Ricky Carmichael on his way towards the front. 4th at last count. Looks like he's going to take over 3rd.
That's that Holy Schmidt jump that they call it, dedicated to the late Donnie Schmidt, who's a Minnesota world champion and a great rider, great guy.
Well, you're right about James Stewart and Chad Reed, nose to tail. Here's Carmichael and Millsaps doing the same thing for 3rd and 4th. Carmichael having to go the long way around the outside. That'll set him up inside for the left-hander, but he's a little wide. So Millsaps doing a great job of holding off the Makita Suzuki number 4 of Carmichael.
You think he'll get him in the whoops right here?
Well, that's what separates the men from the really men. Let's see here. Looks like Millsaps doing a good job through the notorious whoops of Millville, SpringCreek Motocross Park. Carmichael comes inside, still can't get it done. Millsaps doing a good job of holding him off still.
Millsaps is great in the whoops. You can see how tall and long his legs are. That lets him get back and just pin it. He doesn't even have to worry about that front wheel dropping in.
Matter of time, perhaps, until Ricky Carmichael takes this position away. Here they go side by side up the big hill. He looks over, gives him a little kick out, and on the gas passes Millsaps up the hill for 3rd position. So Ricky Carmichael now moves in behind Chad Reed and James Stewart in the number 3 spot.
You know, James may have invented the Bubba scrub, but Ricky's really practiced it and gotten good at it. You can see how much lower he stayed off that tabletop where he passed Millsaps right there. And Millsaps is, I'm sure, great at it. Those guys practice those techniques all the time, but Ricky was a foot or 2 lower off that jump, which means he was back on the ground sooner and not wasting time going up, but going forward.
You can make a pass in the air, but you have to set it up with your wheels on the ground. The only way to slow down or speed up is with rubber on the dirt. So Carmichael using the lower trajectory there to his advantage, now starting to edge away from Davey Millsaps, and he wants to get that done before this man, James Stewart, gets too far in the distance.
I think Ricky's pretty confident that he's got the speed to catch these guys. Even at Washougal, he made up a lot of time on James in that second moto after he tipped over. Caught all the way up to him, passed him, they went back and forth, and Ricky made a mistake and fell and lost the win, the overall to James there, but he definitely had faster lap times. So I think he's confident that he can close this gap between the two of them.
In spite of the fact that Stewart was so much quicker in practice, you're saying that?
Yeah, I think those guys, I mean, obviously Carmichael knows what he's doing. Those guys, if they had problems in practice, they made some changes, and I'm sure they got the bugs worked out.
It's always about making adjustments, and adjustments on the fly, as James Stewart's getting kudos for his good start. He didn't get the whole shot, but he quickly had the lead and still does.
Starting to put a little time on Reed, but Reed's still keeping it close.
Carmichael and then Millsaps, and there is pretty obviously the separation in the class of the field here. Those 4 riders have been consistently the best ones. Millsaps on the podium quite a few times, and of course Chad Reed and James Stewart with Ricky Carmichael have represented the big 3 for as long as anyone can remember, the last several seasons, both indoors and out. Stewart looking good. Oh, and now not looking so good. Keeps it running.
Got those fingers on the clutch.
No, he's not. His bike did stall. So that's going to really, there goes Millsaps by him. So that's 3rd position. He's now 4th.
He tried to start it in gear. You could see him there. He had to stop, go back, find neutral.
Yeah. Gets it fired and returns to the racetrack, but only after losing a bunch of positions. Down to 7th. We'll be back. Stewart tipping over. We won't call it a crash exactly. He just sort of tipped over. Back end spun around on him, and he ends up back on the track in 7th position by the time he got going again. Chad Reed's your leader with Ricky Carmichael all over him.
Carmichael, like I said, he closed the gap up to these guys. Reed was right there with James, so.
Side by side through the whoops. That's how much better Ricky Carmichael is in the notorious Spring Creek whoops. Takes over the lead and made it look easy. Just dancing through the dirt. And now Chad Reed with a little bit of a problem.
He's
goes way back.
He was looking down at the left side of his bike there. I'm not sure what was going on.
Nothing obvious to us, at least, as Carmichael is now in the lead and pulling away. If Reed's having a problem, we're not sure what it is, but he's losing ground pretty steadily. Here comes Millsaps running in 3rd position, and Stewart is up to 4th. Oh, he's trying hard. James Stewart trying hard to recover from the mistake he made just a few minutes ago. Back end went around on him, and he takes over 3rd just like that. Wow, the speed.
He went through those things fast right there.
Yes, indeed. Speed of James Stewart.
James is great at staying on top of whoops. If you watch him from the front, it's like the bike never drops down or goes up at all. It stays perfectly flat. The wheels will move a little bit, but it's like his triple clamps and his body don't move. They go completely straight. He does that in Supercross, going so fast. It's just mind-boggling. And any type of whoops, outdoors or in, he can make that happen.
Tremendous timing, great eye-hand coordination, throttle control, and that's what it takes, among other things, a gift and lots of practice. James Stewart trying to make up ground now. Has moved into 3rd position. A lot of real estate ahead of him. Take another look. This is when he tipped over.
He just tries to get inside of that berm a little bit, and the back end steps out. He kind of slides it into home. Tried to put the fingers on the clutch and hold it, but the thing's quit on him.
So Ricky Carmichael out in front and unchallenged at this point, pulling away here in Moto number 1 at the Spring Creek Motocross Park, the Honda Spring Creek National. Carmichael looking as he often does, just effortless out in front, and that is how far behind is 2nd place, Chad Reed.
Oh, listen to that bike. There's something going on with that thing.
Could be a broken header pipe or something, not sure.
I don't know, but it's loud.
Yep, making a lot of noise unnecessarily. There goes James Stewart, already working through some traffic, as have Carmichael and Reed. So Stewart shouldn't have too much trouble making up time on Chad Reed here, with the bike a little ailing as it sounds. And here comes Stewart, charging hard. Much throatier, more normal sound on the Kawasaki than on the 22 Yamaha of Reed.
I'm sure Stewart's hoping to just get to 2nd. If he can do that, he still sets himself up nicely for an overall win if he can win the 2nd moto. And Reed's, you can see him there. He's not too far ahead of him.
Looks like about 10, maybe 12 seconds, just by the old one Mississippi method.
I'm sure his mechanics are there, I'm sure as well, waving him on, saying Reed's got a problem, you know, letting him know. And if there is something wrong, it's obviously with his exhaust. You can tell just by the sound of that thing. And it will definitely affect the performance of the bike, but I don't think it'll quit running for any reason.
Not nearly as much, if it's a broken header pipe or something, not nearly as much of an effect as it would have had on one of the older 2-strokes. 4-strokes will pretty much run, you know, with with the mufflers off.
As he came around, the header is on the right-hand side. And it didn't appear to be there at all. So maybe the header's fallen off.
Well, Chad Reed having a mechanical issue, but he keeps on going. Here's our Toyota leaderboard. Mike Brown rounding out the top 8. And James Bubba Stewart is catching him, both because he's going faster and Reed's having a problem, working through a little bit of traffic there. As usual, the rider's very, very courteous. Ryan Newton out of California moving over there on the 277 machine on his Suzuki. And here goes James Stewart, is going to come around Chad Reed right now. You can see it, and it's inevitable. Oh, he almost lost the back wheel again. The same spot, wasn't it?
Same exact turn. Reed's bike sounds like a hopped-up lawnmower.
Definitely has a different sound to it as Stewart goes past. Somebody's thrown one of those course markers out into the middle of the track there, but you know, considering all the other things that are going on here, it's not really much of an issue. Stewart up the hill now, and Ricky Carmichael well in front of him.
Carmichael and James Stewart both already committed to racing the Motocross of Nations coming up with Ryan Villapoto, who's the 3rd member. So it's a cool event in the sense that you know, it's not these two pitted against one another. They're actually teammates. You know, that's the one time of the year they can share lines, try to help each other out. Definitely a different vibe to it.
On more or less neutral turf, if you want to call it that, as we go back a little bit deeper in the field. Michael Byrne, the number 26 Kawasaki, and Villeman on the number 12 Yamaha, having a little tussle there. Trying to find riders battling is a little bit difficult. We've got to work our way back through the field here to 6th and 7th position, because up front everybody's kind of one by one. Villeman looking for a move on the inside, and now back the other way.
After you watch Ricky and James and their pace, and you go back to these guys, it looks like they're just kind of cruising around. Like Villeman doesn't even, looks like he's just cruising. These guys are going fast, don't get me wrong, but definitely hard to compare the pace of those two groups of riders.
Whoa, and Villeman off into the weeds.
He's gonna stop and do some fishing in the creek.
Yeah, do some fishing in the creek. Maybe, you know, take a little break over there, kick his shoes off.
That line was definitely slower.
That was definitely slower. That will not be the favored line when somebody puts together a handbook of how to ride Spring Creek. Don't go that way. So Michael Byrne, while we had a battle, had is the operative word. Byrne all alone now in 6th place. As he goes up the hill, we return now to Ricky Carmichael working his way through traffic, coming over the finish jump there.
You know, it's getting to be like watching the Harlem Globetrotters play, Dreb. You know, I mean, Ricky's out there bouncing the ball off their foreheads, dribbling it through their legs, alley-ooping.
He pretty much has his way with it, putting on a show for the fans here. Final lap, he can do whatever he wants. I'd like to see him maybe try a backflip in the middle of a moto. That could be entertaining.
Well, if there's anybody I wouldn't put it past, it's Ricky.
He certainly has one fan. Lady standing there, one of the course workers.
She was excited, wasn't she?
Yeah, giving that big overhand clap there for Ricky Carmichael as he comes by. She's doing it for everybody. Has the green shirt on for James Stewart. James running in 2nd position, but kind of a far behind 2nd right now as Carmichael saluting to the crowd, doing the one-hander over the jump there. And we should point out that looking off towards the horizon where the weather comes from, there's definitely some weather on its way. So we could see a very different 2nd moto here. Just giving you a heads up on that one as Carmichael appears to be on his way to an easy win here in moto number 1. And showing us once again, who's the man? He's the man.
I don't know if it ever gets tiring riding around, pumping your fist, looking back for 2nd place. But if anybody knows about it, Ricky does.
Ricky Carmichael on the Makita Suzuki. Going past Heath Voss there on the final lap. And Carmichael heading for the finish line, taking his sweet time. No mistakes in this round. He's just going to make sure he gets there and sets himself up for an overall win. All he's got to do now is bring it home another time, and he will earn yet another victory here. He's the defending winner at Millville, winning in 2005. And, of course, can anyone remember a track where Ricky Carmichael hasn't won recently for years in a row?
The biggest problem right now is finding a wallet big enough to hold all his money.
His own personal, he needs a trailer to haul his money around in. Got one for the bike, got a motorhome for Ricky, and then a little trailer behind it for the cash. He's certainly racking it up.
He's earned it.
Ricky Carmichael, the best there is, and perhaps the best there ever was. A lot of people are saying that already. Winner of Moto number 1. We'll be back. Quite a few times before. Winner of the Moto number 1 here at Millville. Congratulations to Ricky Carmichael as we look at our Suzuki Moto results. Carmichael, Stewart, Reed, we've gotten used to using those names and just changing the order every so often, but it's usually Carmichael at the top. Brock Tickle there in number 11 spot. Let's hear from our winners, beginning with 3rd.
Well, and obviously frustrated Chad Reed. Chad, what was going on out there? The sound of your bike was atrocious. Everybody on the stands was kind of watching you, just praying for you were going to be able to make it through.
I mean, what do you do? I try to put myself in good positions, and man, just things like that happen, and that's part of racing. You know, I just try to suck it up and get on the podium and just try to come out swinging for the next one.
It's just a bummer, you know. I felt like I had a good pace and it was going to be a good race towards the end, and I just made a stupid bobble, you know. Just sucks, you know, making mistakes, how hard we work during the week, and it sucks. I feel bad for my team and fans, and I just got to get back out there and get another good start and see what happens.
Racer X Hole Shot Award goes to the number 44, Justin Buckaloo from Surprise, Arizona. Well, surprise, James Stewart was Buckaloo with a hole shot.
Ricky, you're kind of struggling out there today. What went on?
I don't know. I thought I had a great jump, and everybody just went by me. So I just kind of let things thin out a little bit and got behind Chad, and his bike was acting up. Then the next time we came around, and James fell. And, you know, this is a great track, though. I like it. And, man, I just need to figure out the starts. These guys are riding good, and it just makes too much work for me.
Nobody does more to protect your right to ride than the American Motorcyclist Association. Every racer on the track is an AMA member, so how about you? Call 1-800-AMA-JOIN or visit AMADirectLink.com. The AMA writes riding and racing. Track prep for Moto number 2 goes on here at Millville. The Martin family doing a great job of running races here as usual, and this track, famous for its long whoops and its whoop monster, is getting ready as we go between the motos. This week's feature, Honda.
Hard to get in to Honda, let's say just through the door with a camera, so to speak, or just as an individual, as a technician. We like to think we're at the top of the pinnacle as far as racing teams, and that's recognized worldwide, from MotoGP racing to road racing to supercross and motocross racing. And that's why you have to have some credentials to kind of get in through the door. The reason why we don't let too many cameras or outside people into Honda racing is because we do want to protect our environment here. We're cautious with that reputation, but that also gives us that mystique that kind of makes us standoffish or makes people wonder what's in there, or they're the big Honda, the big red team. But really this team's made up of just a bunch of individuals that are just like you and I. They're just really good at what they do.
Let's go down here and look at the machine shop. We have 2 sections. This is raw fabrication, and then the basic machine area. Yeah, whatever they need, they can grab a hunk of it and make it. Chrome alloy steels, basic steels, your round stock aluminum, square stock, rectangle stock aluminum. This is road race parts. And here we go into the motocross section, technician area. You can see they're just getting ready for the bare frame and their assembly pieces all laid out on Carlos's workbench. Get ready for upcoming testing and racing. So we'll move into the parts department. And you can see we have all the wheels pre-prepped. Seats, they have different seats for mud conditions. There's the black seat. You can't go at the level we want to go at and not finish racing. You can have a clutch gasket or something like that. It's just, the investment's too high. And what happens here is this is the day-to-day engine building, and then the truck has same parts on hand for right at the scene. And then Brad will stay here until like 5 o'clock on Friday. The truck can call and say, for some reason, we need a part. So what you're looking at here, for example, is one of our metal bins where we'll recycle the stuff, but everything that goes in here is usually, we damage it so it can't be used again. We wouldn't want any of this stuff to get out because it could be a standard part or it could be a works part. Everybody still has a budget. After race plastic's been used on the race team, we hang on to it and use it on our test bikes and the practice bikes for the riders. So we hang on to all this stuff and get more life out of it than just its first race event. Okay, guys, you're making us a little nervous. We're going to have to end this interview.
Well, Honda's always been mysterious and secretive that way. They'll chase you off if you come look at their test track, and they've got a situation room there at the factory. As you see all the #1 plates lining the ceiling, there's no doubt what they want you to do if you ride for them.
We'll be back to SpringCreek after this. Well, things are different than they were a few minutes ago as some fans are doing their imitation of an otter. Aaron Bates to explain what happened.
When we saw these guys last, it was completely dry conditions. We'll take a look at this. It's an absolute mess. A downpour came down. These guys are dealing with probably a foot of mud. As you can see, they're digging out a hole, trying to get themselves some traction to get a good start. I asked a couple of the mechanics what they did in order to get prepared in such a short amount of time. They said basically it's a Chinese fire drill, change things such as grips. Some of them changed some tires, some handguards, little things like that, add a couple of extra tear-offs. These guys are in store for a tough ride.
Well, I want to see Aaron slide down that mud hill.
That was a pretty good deal there, doing the shamu down the hill, as the fans here will find a way to entertain themselves. We're looking at our Honda starting lineup for Moto number 2, and really enjoyed the visit there behind door number 10 in the Honda shop. I've had the good fortune of being in there a few times, but not with a camera. It's quite a fascinating place. But yes, Millville and the SpringCreek Motocross Park have taken on a very different look as the gate drops and everybody sort of eases out on the clutches here. The whole shot award's going to go to a hero this time around, and around the outside it is Ricky Carmichael, and Mike Brown might have been right there with him.
Well, the start is the most important part of this race, and Carmichael got it. You know, these guys' goggles are done after one straightaway.
And there's James Stewart in second position right now. Of course, Carmichael winning Moto number 1, Stewart the runner-up, so if they reverse, it'll be Stewart the overall winner, but if Ricky Carmichael stays out in front, he will earn yet again an overall here at SpringCreek.
You know, these guys were obviously offered a parade lap. None of them took it. You don't want to go out there and weigh your bike down with all that mud. But as they go out there, this is a completely different racetrack than they've seen all day. The lights class is gone since it started raining. The lines are totally different. The ruts are deep. In fact, earlier in the lights moto, we saw bikes getting stuck. The ruts got so deep. So these guys are having to figure it out as they go, and it's tricky. But you can see Carmichael. Look how clean he is. No mud on his number plate. His goggles are perfect. So he's got such an advantage now. Even James, anytime he gets up close to him, if he does, he's going to be ruining his goggles. And see those ruts on the inside full of water right there. That's the kind of stuff Ricky's great at, looking ahead, going, okay, those are full of water. I need to go wide. And he finds the line and just runs it.
Look how deep the ruts are already here, and even without a parade lap. The lights bikes have already rutted up the course. Carmichael out in front with James Stewart in second position. And wow, what a mess. I mean, if it was a Chinese fire drill, now it's a crapshoot. We saw the number 94, Brad Majewski, out of Wisconsin, running in third position, a name that we have not called all season long, probably.
Well, this is what happens in the mud. You know, Carmichael's not particularly a great mud rider. In fact, his first big pro mud race was at High Point in 1997, and he did terrible. He still kind of laughs about that race. I think one of the only guys he beat was me. Maybe the only mud rider worse than him back then.
Well, there you go. A claim to fame of sorts as Ricky Carmichael tries to navigate the mud. A few umbrellas are out, but a lot of the fans here are enjoying themselves, as we saw the young woman doing there at the beginning of the second moto. What are the difficulties that are, you know, what makes a good mud rider? What are the things you have to do to be good as opposed to not good?
Well, I wouldn't know how to be good personally, but you know what I hear and what's important is obviously keeping your goggles clean and on, for one. Taking your goggles off is like the biggest no-no, but at a certain point, if you just can't see through your goggles, you don't have any choice. So preparation, guys will run extenders on their visors. They'll take a goggle lens and tape it to the end of their visor to be able to block more mud and protect their goggles. Guys will run hand guards. You see Carmichael's got the hand guards on. If it does start to rain or if mud's getting splashed up, those hand guards are going to block mud from hitting his grips, which obviously that's your main contact point on the bike. You've got to keep your grips dry and clean. And yeah, if you fall, you're sticking your grip right in the mud.
Problem for one of the front runners. Chad Reed is off the track. Aaron Bates is on the scene.
Take a look at this. When you thought luck was bad, it just got a whole lot rougher for Chad Reed. Seems as though he's pulled over on the very first lap, getting his mechanics to hand him a new set of goggles, new set of gloves. He can barely hold on to the grips. Tough luck here at Millville for Chad Reed.
You could see if he had hand guards on, so he must have tipped over or somehow got water splashed up on his grips and gloves. And once your grips and gloves get slimy, you just can't hang on.
Majewski here on the 94 machine, about to lose that number 3 position to the number 15, Timmy Ferry, on his Honda CRF 450. The Unbound Energy entry, so Tim Ferry moves into third position, and Majewski's run to the podium has come to an end, at least for the time being.
Oh, Villeman's got another sweet line, just inside everything. Last time he was outside in the creek.
Very creative. Our Toyota leaderboard shows you where they stand. Are absolutely appalling, and everyone seems to have noticed it except Ricky Carmichael. Carmichael coming up behind Reed, who stopped to get fresh gloves and goggles. And now he's stuck in the mud as Ricky Carmichael's working his way through some traffic, coming up behind Jeff Gibson. And while Gibson is riding on a muddy track, Carmichael looks like it's dry as a bone for him.
Yeah, he's impressive. And he doesn't need to go this fast. Second place is so far behind him. Stewart's in second.
James Stewart in second position, just creeping down the hill. And there he is. We're used to seeing James going way faster than that as he comes up behind Chad Reed's bike that's stuck in the mud. And now Stewart is going to join him. So the number 2 and number 3 motocross riders in the world have just sort of parked it together and can only look on in frustration.
How over it are those two guys? They're just like, dude, I don't know, I'm stuck. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm stuck too. This sucks.
Yeah. Now Ricky Carmichael has just avoided almost all of those problems. Now he's looking a little more like everybody else and quite a bit like the Whoop Monster, in fact. Look at this. What a comedy. Here comes Villeman. He manages to shoot through a gap that has also now collected Jason Thomas on the 31. Villeman gets a standing O for that move at about 2 miles an hour.
He just did a one-hander, pumped his fist for getting through a little muddy section. That's funny.
Yep. The thrill of victory. Well, you take him where you can. Where is James Stewart? Don't go in there. Do not go in there. So Stewart trying to find some way to get moving, and Ricky Carmichael's lead is just growing and growing. What a mess! Look at this!
Hey, we need some circus music.
Absolutely. Some Three Stooges sound effects. What, you know. Oh, this is too funny. Well, Reed finally gets going, sort of, after spewing mud all over his mechanic, who was only trying to help. Stewart's getting some help, and they can't even stand the bike up. Oh, I hate to laugh at the misfortune of others, but you know what? This is slapstick.
I've never been so happy to not be racing motorcycles in my life.
I've never been so happy to have never taken up racing motorcycles, at least off-road.
See, look at him wiping the grips. That's going to be problems.
You know,
that is not legal to get outside assistance. You can see Kaipo, that's their suspension technician.
Yeah, but so the officials are going to add insult to injury? I mean, what could they possibly do to penalize somebody more than Mother Nature has already done?
Well, there was Honda guys standing near there, and you've got Millsaps and guys like that ahead of, you know, in the points chase there for second, third. I'm sure they'll say something.
That appears to be Ricky Carmichael, only because he's taking his hand off the bar every once in a while.
It could be Brad Majewski, though. We don't know. There it is,
Carmichael. Oh, yeah, from the back you can tell it is Ricky Carmichael, and the number 4, Makita Suzuki, who is just having a field day in the mud. Our standings? In motorcycles, ATVs, personal watercraft, and scooters. And by Dentine Ice. Go bold. Well, it's kind of go bold or go home as Ricky Carmichael comes down the hill past David Villeman, who's running second right now. So Carmichael has lapped the entire field here in Millville. There is no joy in Millville today for anybody but Ricky Carmichael, and he's showing plenty of it. He's got to be pretty happy out there. Not only having fun, but winning big. Laps the field. Wow.
That just happened, Dreb. Do you understand that?
Wow.
He just lapped second place. That's ridiculous.
And his lap times are so much faster, over 20 seconds quicker than the second place rider. Carmichael is just on another planet here at Millville today.
He's so smooth. He looks like he's just totally comfortable, like he's been a mud rider his entire life. And he's obviously made improvements. Maybe his mom forces him to go ride when it's muddy now. That's part of the deal.
Can you make mud out of Florida sand? Well, I guess if you try hard enough.
Well, Millville's kind of sandy, and that looks like mud to me.
That's definitely mud. I'm going to say the jury is going to be unanimous about this. This is mud. This is mud, and when he lands, there's some more mud. Wow. Everybody looks like the Whoop Monster that's riding out there today. Ricky Carmichael just on the, look at here. It's still going on in that part of the racetrack.
Well, this, when you come down these hills, it is so slimy. They've got one line they're all running, but it's totally greasy.
He's 36 seconds slower in Moto 2 than in Moto number 1, but he's over 20 seconds faster than the next fastest rider in this moto. That is something from another world.
And Villeman is French, so he's used to riding in the mud. Those guys are great. They ride the mud all the time over there. That's been Villeman's. He's still doing the jumps. Someone needs to hit this kid on the head and tell him to chill out.
Well, he's just having fun out there, and with an entire one-lap lead, you would have to imagine that something completely impossible would have to happen in order for him to lose a one-lap lead. Look at this. It's so... Oh, I hate to make analogies about it looking like a war zone, but it certainly looks like a disaster area, that's for sure. At least for most of the riders out there. Carmichael just seems to be playing around, enjoying himself. There's a guy that's dry right there in the little corner worker station.
It makes one of him.
Yeah, there's one dry person in Millville today, and it's not Ricky Carmichael. But he doesn't seem to mind one bit.
He's shaking his head like he doesn't even understand what's going on out there.
You can't believe it. Ricky Carmichael is going to win again, but what a difference a year makes. Certainly not the kind of natural drama that we're seeing here.
Somebody's got a smoker there ahead of him.
Mud and water all over the exhaust header, probably making some steam. Carmichael just trying to make the last lap happen here. Even if he falls over, he could take a nap and still win. Pumping his fist in the air, the crowd's appreciating his performance here today, and perhaps for the final time at Millville, they're seeing Ricky Carmichael on a muddy day, Mother Nature has dealt out her very, very worst, and Ricky Carmichael has taken it all. He's going to stop and enjoy this one. Well, he got a little error with the front wheel over the finish jump.
And he sets another record, lapping second place.
Fans waiting at the podium for the awards, and James Stewart has been deducted a position for getting this outside help. So indeed, the officials have added insult to the injury. He probably is just happy enough. So with that, he will drop one spot down the standings. And here are the results of the moto with Ricky Carmichael. David Villeman in second, who got lapped just as we came back from commercial, and K-Dub moves up to third overall. Chad Reed crashing on the final in the final moto, and he is down in 10th position overall.
I was struggling, and they were pulling all the tricks out of the bag, trying to get me to where I felt good. In the first moto, I was just really tight. Rode really, really bad. I think the worst I've rode all season. And it was a relief for me to come to the line the second moto, see all the rain. I knew I could just kind of go out there and have fun.
Here's our overall results with Carmichael, Villeman, and Wyndham moving into third position overall. Stewart down into fourth. And Chad Reed, as we mentioned, 10th overall by crashing in the final moto and injuring himself. There's Ricky Carmichael and Kevin Wyndham. And so as David Villeman does some congratulations, let's hear from him.
What was going through your head when you saw RC come and lap you, knowing that you were in second place and he had nobody left to lap?
Yeah, I'd be ashamed, but that's Ricky. He's unreal. So especially with this, those conditions, and when he passed me on the last lap, I saw he was riding like almost he was dry. He was and I was doing my own race. Was happy to be second. Kind of a little ashamed to get a lap down, but I was actually happy. I was getting tired. So I had one lap left, so it was good for me.
Great job out there.
Our Racer X hole shot, pair of Suzukis. Mike Brown way around the outside. Ricky Carmichael, though, with a little bit tighter line by a half a wheel, takes the Racer X hole shot award. And, of course, the overall win with 1-1 in both motos. So here it is, the way they stack up for the points. Carmichael with a 106-point advantage. Wyndham and Millsaps just 4 points apart. And Chad Reed, we don't know what's going on with him.
Well, he had a crash late in that second moto and hurt his shoulder, so he's questionable for next weekend.
Well, it's hard to believe. He had absolutely nobody left on the track to lap. Ricky, I'm going to call it straight out. 10 years ago, you absolutely sucked in the mud, and now take a look at this.
For sure, I was terrible in the mud, and you know what? Just the hard work of Eldon Baker and me, gave me a lot of strength, upper body, and the whole body, actually. And, I can't say enough for Makita Suzuki. We were like fire drilling between motos, and we prepared our bike for the worst conditions, and they were gnarly.
Now, this is the first time that you've ever been able to accomplish such an accolade such as this with nobody else to pass. What's the feeling overall? What's the emotion going through you?
I just wanted to do it. Like, man, I've never done that. And I just saw as a motocross racer do that would be unbelievable. So I just kept driving, and was able to do it, and just super, super pumped, man.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, Villeman looks like he got dunked in a toilet over there, and Ricky's fresh wardrobe.
What else do you say about Ricky Carmichael? Laps the entire field here in Millville on his farewell tour, if you will. It was a good day for him and a bad day for others.
Well, when your pit board says plus 3 minutes, you're doing something right.
Well, it was certainly an enjoyable event here, and we hope that you did enjoy it. We look forward to next time already. So for David Pingree and Aaron Bates, I'm Brian.